What's good, YouTube? Cardfight King here, AQUA Life Baby, you already know. And today, guys, I wanted to give you guys an update to my little brother's Narukami Big Bang Knuckle Stride deck, post BT-06. This is the deck that he ran during the Team DMV Dynasty Cup that happened this past weekend. Now, as a team, we went 2-2, and I will be bringing you guys a tournament report. Probably in the next video, but I just got pretty busy this week and whatnot, so I'll give you guys a tournament report probably next video. But individually, he didn't really do too well, but I'm going to put all of that on me because I didn't do a good job of preparing him for this event. And I'll attribute that to a few different things. One, the lackadaisical approach to the previous build of this deck that I'm not going to show you guys because I changed it up. It's because the deck really was not edited correctly, was not edited well. It was an extremely bad and horrible looking build. Pretty much it was just an unedited version of the deck post GBT, pretty much post GBT-05. Where we just pretty much switched in the crit triggers and the Kokens, but really the deck really wasn't edited. And then he's a graduating senior, and he's trying to get into different colleges and things of that nature. And so Vanguard's not exactly his main focus. So I did not do a good job in mentally preparing him for a big event. I just pretty much threw him on my team, gave him his main deck, and was like, all right, let's play Vanguard. Now I understand Vanguard's not exactly the hardest thing in the world, but you still need to know what's going on and seriously play test and things of that nature. And I didn't prepare him for a highly competitive event, so that's on me. So I messed up in that category. But we did, after the tournament, we worked on the deck, we worked on his playstyle. I got him caught up to everything and whatnot, and he started whooping on me with the deck. And I feel really bad for not preparing him for the tournament himself, and I'm just going to put that on me. But the deck's very fun. It's very good, guys, and hope you guys enjoy it. Let's get into it. Alright, guys, so one of the biggest changes that we did make was putting Saishin as a starter. That's an idea I had in my head for one of the longest times, but Saishin is like the best starter for Narukami to me. So pretty much what he does is when he boosts a Vanguard, when an attack hits the Vanguard that he boosted, a Narukami, you counterblast one, throw them into the soul, and you blow up a grade 0. So you pretty much destroy their starter. So this is extremely important early game, and this is what I was teaching him when after the tournament, when I was at when I was going over a lot of different things with him, was that starters nowadays are very, very important, guys. Units like David, Mitros for us, for Aqua Force and things like that are just extremely important. They get a lot of your play started. Like, imagine you're playing against Shadow Paladins. David counts as a double retire. If when they stride, it makes their aura geyser plays a lot easier. So if you get rid of that David, that means that if they're not running Clarisor, or if they don't have that stand tree that counts as 2, and they go into aura geyser, that means that they're going to have to call 2 cards out of their hand and then sacrifice the 2 cards. So rather than having an easy mode starter on the board that counts as 2, they're gonna have to call out 2 cards from hand and kill 2 to get 2. So it makes them work for what they need to do. And for like Aqua Force, for like Mitros, it makes me work for that 4th battle a lot harder. Where meaning that I would actually have to call out more cards from my hand rather than just calling out a Tidal Assault or a Magnum Assault and then getting in 2 attacks here, 3 Mitros into the soul, 4 bounce, and then having 1 card on the board. And if you have Milius for Royal Palace, just starters nowadays are so important, and this guy definitely takes care of that problem, preventing certain decks from just, starting up, when they're striding or, without them striding. And then, obviously, 4 heal triggers. We went to 4 draw, 8 crit. 4 of the Djinn, Malevolent Djinn goes into soul +3. Margot clone, very good crit trigger, fills the soul for turbo, and the +3 can come in handy for making magic numbers. And then 4 of the Brawler crit trigger. It does stack, so what you do is you send him back to the deck. If you have a Vanguard Brawler in this card name, which you should always have. And then you just choose one of your rear guards with Brawler, and it gets the ability that anytime a Brawler Vanguard hits a unit, that unit gets plus 3,000 power. So, and it does stack, so you can put multiple crit triggers on a Brawler rear guard, and it'll get 3,000 each time something hits. The reason why he went from 6 crit, he was running 6 crit in turn, 6 crit 6 draw in the tournament. The reason why he went to 8 crit 4 draw was because a lot of times we were he would hit a draw trigger and draw into a crit, and the ideology between the 6 crit build was the fact that he wanted to draw into his grade 3s so he could put them into the soul for the cross ride to blow up the field. And sometimes where he had, it's like, I don't want to really drop my grade 3 to stride, but I don't have enough in my drop zone. Think conflicting ideas like that. But I was telling him that, the point of the, what we wanted to do was not really go for the 6 draw triggers to see your grade 3s. I was like, the point of what you want to do is that you want to, your advantage doesn't come from hitting draw triggers and, drawing multiple cards. That's not what this deck is about. Your advantage comes from blowing your opponent's field up and then them wasting resources from their hand to try and fill it back up again, then you getting rid of it again, and then them wasting their hand trying to fill up resources, just trying to push you while you're getting rid of their resources at the same time. It's not about you drawing cards. You're not OTT, you're not Genesis, whatever it is, where you're just, where you're drawing certain, you're drawing, or Bermuda Triangle, where you're drawing cards. That's not what it is. That's not what it is. What you need to do is you need to learn how to manage your hand. You need to learn how to manage your hand and manage certain things, but your advantage is what is going to come from blowing up your opponent's board, forcing them to make better columns against you by wasting their hand advantage to put pressure on you. And since you have a Vanguard that has the potential to get a cross right base, it's going to be a lot harder if they're going to be making 16, 17k or lower columns. So that's pretty much what I was. Going over him. And since we switched to this trigger lineup, it's been working out a whole lot better. All right, let's get into grade 1s. All right, guys. So for grade 1s, we finally got all of these. Thank you, Edward Leon, my man. You guys know him, Edward Van Mans on Facebook. Dragon Dancer Anastasia, Unflipping Perfect Guard. This deck does Counterblast, and why not run an Unflipping Perfect Guard? Love her to death. Very good addition to the deck. 4 stride enablers. This deck does want to stride. Turbo's a fantastic stride unit. Conquest is just conquest. So you want to be able to stride, especially if you can't fill up that drop zone and Legion and whatnot. You want to definitely be able to stride. So 4 stride enablers. 3 copies of Koken. He's pretty much the new version of Arc you want to play. Anytime a Brawler Vanguard hits unit, what you want to do, he gains 3,000 power until the end of turn. So when a Brawler Vanguard hits, he gains 3k, 10, 13, he goes up. Very good card. Pretty much the grade 1 version of the grade 2s. And then 2 copies of Wild Clock Dragon. Reason why we run Wild Clock is because he's a Brawler Vanguard. He's a Brawler rear guard. Very versatile. 7k booster in the back row, 10k attacker in the front row. You can put the crit trigger on him, so he'll become like a he'll become 13, 16, whatnot. Good to put in a column like this. He's just a versatile card. Gives us some nice early game pokes. 10k at the Vanguards and whatnot. Just a very solid card overall, and he really helps out with some nice early game pressure. And again, he's just a versatile card, whether it's an attacker or a booster. All right, and on to grade 2. All right, grade 2. 4 copies of Brawler Skyhowl Dragon. You can't dismiss Skyhowl. He's probably just an amazing card. You got to run 4 of this guy. You call him out to the field. If you have a Vanguard with Brawler in his card name, Counterblast 1, blow up a front row. Just too good not to run at 4. You got to he to me he's a staple at 4. Takes care of your opponent rushing you. I know that if I do my tile assault plays, he'll just sit at 2, call him out, blow him up. Very good on the conquest plays. If your opponent has 2 units in the front row, call him out, blow up a front row, conquest, blow up the other front row, 10k to your front row. Very, very good combo play. Definitely a needed card in this deck. This deck is not a deck you want to play the grade 2 game against. It's just not. This guy is one of the reasons why. 3 copies of the Slash Buster. We reduced him to 3 copies because we wanted to just make more room for certain things, and we do still see him quite often. Plus, if we need to, we don't damage him as much. And if he's in the drop zone, we can just, Legion him and put him on the Vanguard circle. So it's not big of a deal. But he's the 11k attacker if you have a Vanguard with Big Bang Knuckle. And anytime a Big Bang Knuckle hits, you get 3k. So he's like Hoken, but it has to have Knuckle in its name. Then 3 copies of Shatora. Shatora is, again, another amazing generic Narukami card. I think you'll see him in every Narukami deck. He is an 11k attacker on the rearguard circle on your turn. He's just a basic 8k, but on your rearguard circle, he's an 11k attacker. He cannot attack the opponent's Vanguard. Attacking the opponent's rearguard. But if he does hit the opponent's Vanguard, you can counterblast 1, draw a card, and bind a unit in their drop zone. So, very good card, very pressurizing. Opponents really do not like to let him hit because they do not want to give you a draw, and they don't want you getting rid of their G-Perfects if they run them. This card is a deadly card against the new Grand Blues. Getting rid of their Negro Rooks, getting rid of their Negro Bones, getting rid of that Greenwich that's in the drop zone, things like that. This card is very scary against Grand Blue. Trust me, I know. So, very good card. And then 2 copies of Big Bang Slash Dragon. He's the Legion mate for the grade 3 that you really don't want to sit on too long, but who is that? Big Bang Knuckle Dragon. Yeah, he's the Legion mate for Knuckle Dragon. But what he does is anytime a Vanguard with Brawler in his card name hits, he gets 3k. So he's literally Koken, but grade 2 form. So yeah. All right, and on the grade 3. All right, so for grade 3, we got 4 copies of Big Bang Knuckle Dragon. He's not the grade 3 you really want to be on, but he legions with Big Bang Slash Dragon, and you can Soul Blast 1, and he gains 3,000 to the end of the battle. But you can counterblast 2 cards as Brawler. He gains 5,000, and when you're in Legion, he can attack the front row. So he's okay. You don't really want to be on him, but again, it's not really the point of that. If you are on him, then you're most likely going to be focusing on Stride, but you want to be on him. Big Bang Knuckle Buster. So when he's in the Soul, you're at a 13k cross ride base, and you counterblast 1. You toss a grade 3 into the Soul, so one of these 2 into the Soul, and he gets the ability. He gets 5,000 power, and he can attack. You can attack 4 units on your opponent's board. So you can either clear your opponent's board of rear guards, like especially in the Chaos Breaker matchup, you can pretty much clear their board, prevent them from limit break, kind of playing the chicken game a little bit, or just kind of like a strategic play, or you can hit their Vanguard 3 other rear guards. Just a very good card, board clearer. This is the Vanguard that you want to be on. He legions with forget his name, Slash Buster. He legions with Slash Buster. So very good card, very good cards, guys. Just a very good deck overall. All right, on the Stride deck. And again, guys, that cross ride base, man, telling you, forces your opponent just to make those columns against you, guys. Make some columns. 2 copies of Zorus, guys. Now, the reason why we run 2 copies of Zorus is because in some matchups when your opponent's not really making too big of a field, especially when you're going to, you know, striding whatnot, there is no real reason to go into Turbo as your first stride. So, you know, you go into Zorus, and Zorus, if he hits, you get to, your opponent chooses 1 card in their field to retire, and you choose 2 cards in their drop zone and bind it. So sometimes he's alright as your first stride, you know, if you're going to go for that play. 2 copies of Big Bang Knuckle Turbo. The reason why we run 2 copies of Big Bang Knuckle Turbo because he can flip anything. So what he does is you can Counter Blast 1, Soul Blast 1, you know, G flip anything. So you can either flip himself or him. So if you flip himself, you know, for each face-up copy of himself, he gets 5,000 power, and for each heart card that has Big Bang Knuckle, so or you know, Brawler heart card, pretty much if you're in Legion, you can hit 6 units. If not, you can hit 3 units. Let's just say that, so I'm not confusing myself. But for each heart card, you can hit 3 units. So if you're not in Legion, you hit 3 units. If you are in Legion, you can hit 6 units. So he can literally wipe boards. Now, the reason why we're doing 2 and 2 is because sometimes it's like, you know, you can stride him first, and you can G-flip a Zorus and blow up a board, stride him again, flip a Zorus, blow up a board. Or if you do stride Zorus, you can do Zorus, and then, you know, you can use him to flip him, blow up a board, then you'll have Zorus as an extra stride, you know, whatever the case is for what you need to do. And in some cases, Conquest, if the play is there, sometimes you have to make different judgment decisions just depending on the situation. But then we run 4 copies of Conquest. The reason why you're on Conquest is Conquest is the best. It's just the best stride. He's the finisher stride of the deck, guys. He is just extremely just really good. So what he does is you just G flip. Well, when you're at GB2, you just G flip. You destroy a front row for free. It's all for free, and your front row gets 10,000 power. Or your front row gets 5,000 power for each open rearguard circle in their front row. Excuse me. So that means that if they have a rearguard circle, that means that, all right, so let's say you strode on him, right? And let's say you have no cards in your front row, and they have 1 card here. You G-flip, and you blow up a card in the front row. So now your whole front row gets 10,000 power, right? But you have no rearguards in your front row. All right, you just call 2 rearguards in your front row. They get 10,000 power. No, wrong, they don't. The cards have to be placed onto the board before you use his ability initially. They have to place on the board before. If you place them on the field after you use his ability and to gain power, they won't gain power. Only he will. So you have to place them on the board, then G-flip in order for these cards to gain the power that he gives. Just a little ruling thing that you guys should understand, you know, when playing this card. But yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this deck profile. I'm gonna bring you guys a tournament report next, and some other videos. All right, Cardfight King, I'm out. Peace.